right, hello everybody, welcome. It is time for the first round of 16 match for the 2021 World Cup. This is Azer, and today I am joined by this one guy.
Hello, good evening. How's it going?
Pretty good. This is a bit of an early match. I think it's pretty rare that we get like a Friday night match. I guess it's morning for China, but yeah, we've got Argentina versus China today. Two teams that unfortunately did not get to score a point in the round of 32, considering they're pretty low seeded, so they had pretty tough opponents. I think they should be a little bit more evenly matched though this time around.
Yeah, I think based on their results in qualifiers, based on kind of the performance that they showed in their round of 32 matches, despite both getting swept 5-0, I think these two teams both actually do have some potential, and I do think, as you said, they'll be relatively evenly matched. Kind of those important players from both teams, the Emery Kuno pair and Slowburn from Argentina. China, of course, Genshin Phobia, Burger Fox. Milk Tea. They've got some players who can do well. Like, these are teams that are not, incapable of playing the pool proficiently.
Yeah, I think they're both looking to have a better showing. I don't think they were satisfied with the way they played in round of 32, especially considering that a lot of these players did really well like earlier throughout the year. So looking to do a little bit more. I think it's also pretty hard to determine what the other team wants to do here. I think, like I said, they're very evenly matched, but also like in terms of not only in terms of score, but in terms of their priorities and stuff like that. I think this match is going to be very hard to like predict, if that makes sense. Honestly, I have no idea who's winning or what the team plans are, if that makes sense. Like, it's very hard to determine. I tried, but yeah, they've got a little bit of like an open book on both sides.
Yeah, I think based on what we saw in their first round each, I think, Argentina probably not going to play too much reading stuff. Might look to ban out, like a low AR pick, something along those lines. China, on the other hand, maybe picking some more non-mechanics type of stuff. They picked like the tech map in week 1, for instance. So, like you said, there's not direct overlap kind of between these perceived skill sets. And new week, new pool. Right, this is going to be the first time that we're getting to see the pool played in a match since it was revealed back in the showcase. And so I think that's going to be something that's cool to see as well. Two teams kind of testing the waters for the first time for us here this week.
Yes, and I think player reception so far, I'm going to talk about this real quick because this is the first match around at 16, but I think the player reception to this pool has been very exceedingly positive. I think the teams like playing this. There's not a lot not to like, so I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see the teams kind of enjoy themselves beyond just playing. Sometimes there's some maps you don't really want to play, but you kind of feel like you have to, but it doesn't seem like there's any of that here. Everyone is kind of a big fan of everything in this pool, which is very nice. In terms of pick ban, though, I think I'm fully expecting both of the teams to kind of stick to their cards from last round. If you look at the scores and their bans that they're going for, it's expected that China bans No Mod 2, which they just did, and Argentina is probably looking to ban Hidden 2, which if there's anything to go off of to compare the teams that would like give an advantage to the other team, those are literally the only two maps in the pool that like fit that. Everything else is kind of a toss-up, so I think it's about expected that we see both of those.
Yeah, especially like this week's Hidden 2, is again, kind of that linear older style aim. It's a little more of a throwback feeling map than last week's, but it does get banned out by Argentina, so no surprises there regardless. And I really am just very curious to see what we kind of get out of this pool, what we'll end up seeing. China's going to run it back to the No Mod 4. That was their first pick last week. It's going to be their first pick again this week. The Hesperos, mapped by a Silica 3D Yoshi Spin. What a great diff name. This is actually, I like this map. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it does have the cut streams, which can be kind of polarizing, but that nice early round, tech that's like not super crazy, but does test the tech elements that you expect to see.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those maps where I think people are liking a lot. This slot in particular, I think, can tend to be a little bit polarizing, but this week is definitely a hit. I've heard a lot of people actually say this is like the best no-mod tech map they've ever seen in a pool. So we're about to see that pretty soon. I think for China here, I think it might be interesting. They're very likely playing their core roster. China likes to play around 4 players and really play those 4 players, even though they have all 8. You know, I think you're expecting to see Genshin Phobia, which is David, if anyone is not up to par with that. I'm a Burger Fox, Cuckoo, and Milk Tea or Lolo are going to be playing this, but it looks like maybe not for this map. They're gonna bring Strife in, which hasn't really played many maps so far. So this is a bit of a new showing. I think they didn't really play much last round.
I think a lot of these teams, you know, kind of when you get outside of maybe the top 12 to 16, they're going to be reliant a lot more on their top players. They're a lot top heavier, so you're going to see a lot of the same people. You know, you've got Amuro, Slowburn, Emery Kuno too. Like, I think you're probably going to be seeing a lot of people from Argentina, much like how you're going to be seeing a lot of these few from China. Maybe 1 or 2 players swapping out from map to map, but the depth on these rosters isn't really there to the same degree as some of the stronger, you know, nations, where they can really spread out and have a different foreman for a lot of different maps. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, because that means it puts a lot of pressure. So we're going to see, you know, early on, how are these guys performing, and you know, who's kind of going to be trying to take that early driver's seat position. With China leading off here. Nomad 4, first map of our first match of the week here in round of 16, getting underway.
Yeah, I will actually say about Argentina's roster, though, I think they fully utilize the fact that there's 8 players. I think something that I found out, which I think is pretty interesting, is their 4 DT players are 4 different players from the Hard Rock roster. So they have 4 people playing Hard Rock and 4 other players playing DT, which is really rare. Usually there's a bit of an overlap there. Anyway, we are getting into the first map now.
And already a couple of early breaks there in the first couple hundred combo from, I'm going to call him Milk Tea instead of Lol Lol, because that just does not roll off the tongue. He and Slowburn are going to trade the early breaks here. So 3 FCs per team. The accuracy advantage already going pretty heavily in favor of China for the most part. Curious to see, like I said before, they, you know, kind of picked a couple of less mechanic favored maps in their first match, whereas Argentina trended actually more into the mechanics. So, you know, if we see things like the tech and alt maps from China, maybe more likely to see, you know, kind of a straightforward aim or speed map from Argentina the other way.
Yeah, so far, pretty good showing on their first pick, though. I mean, about a third of the way through. Looking pretty strong on this, I think, as you'd expect from their first pick. But yeah, this map showcasing a lot of cut streams, and it is, like you said, this was their first pick last round, right? So they're definitely playing into their comfortable ground for now.
Yep, and just the difference of Lexalia finding a break. So they have, you know, 2 missing FCs from Argentina versus 3 FCs still alive for China. See, it's interesting, you know, because I feel like last year they were a pretty well-rounded team with the roster that they had. Adding in, you know, Crystal to the roster obviously makes it a lot stronger. Another break from Lexalia. But I wonder if this year, you know, maybe China focuses more on a specific type of skills. Like, wow, that's okay. There goes Argentina. All right. Yeah, I thought I had some time to talk while everyone was just keeping combo. I was mistaken. Argentina just goes by the wayside.
Well, China is definitely keeping up. No breaks from the very beginning break from Moki there. Look, really strong showing though.
Yeah, this is a very, very good performance here from China. Still carrying 2 full combos, very late break from Strife, unfortunately, but 2 FCs still alive, 1 large combo. And yeah, this is going to be a very dominant showing here from China. It's going to be close to 1 million points on the first pick, so definitely that Nomad 4 working out well for them.
Yeah, this must be super good for them as well. As a reminder, again, both of these teams lost 5-0 in round of 32, so this will be China's first map victory in this World Cup, which is pretty good for them. And it's very, very decisive. What is that? 1.2 million point difference here off the back of pretty much 3 FCs, right? Yep. Almost 3 FCs.
Yeah,
we got a little bit of an oopsie from Milk Tea, but
Kurumi broke like in the last 40 combo. I'm a Burger Fox. So it ended up actually only being 1 FC, but it was, you know, very, very close to being 3 and 1 miss away at that from, you know, being 4, depending on how much, you know, credit you want to give those guys. So very, very strong performance there from China. And yeah, as expected, it's straight into mechanics. We're just doing what we did last week, I guess. They're just playing the same stuff.
all picks and bans are exactly the way they were last week for both of these teams. China had their No Mod 4 first pick, and Argentina had their DT2 first pick. Still the same thing this time around.
All right, and that means China's second pick is already known, actually, before we even play this map. Their second pick's going to be Free Mod 2. We're just set. So, you know, actually, the Free Mod 1 this week is a CS5 AR8, and Argentina did ban out the AR8 hidden, so we'll see what China's strategy is after that. But first, we have to play, of course, the stamina double time pick here.
Okay, so I'm a bit curious about this one. This is one of the only maps they shared last round. They both played DT2, and that did come out for China's favor for about 300k. But they played Milk Tea, who did not really have a good showing, like 500k, 94%, whereas everybody else kept up pretty well, like everyone is close to 99. I'm wondering, though, they have a lot of other players, like Extreme is on this roster, and they did not play last round, so I'm not sure, like, normally you would... Extreme is a speed player that's played in the LWC, like, several times by now, so you would think he should be here.
Yeah,
but if that's not the case, I'm not sure, yeah.
That dude's been around for a long time playing speed stuff. Back to the extra days.
Yeah.
In, like, what, 2015, I think?
Yeah.
When he had that name? Yeah, we'll have to see. And Argentina switching up, I think, all but one player, right? You have Richo, Zeta, and Penguo coming in. So a big roster swap for...
Yeah,
for
definitely looking at Zeta here as well. Zeta's been their DT player. I'm not sure why Slowburn isn't playing. He was top scorer last round, and also is kind of a very proficient DT player for them, so...
His name literally used to be Festo Frizu, like, before he name changed to Slowburn, so yeah, I don't know. Some interesting rosters, and we don't end up getting Extreme. It ends up being Milk Tea, who I think will probably be able to fill for this fine, but it is still a little surprising not to see Extreme in for a 250 plus BPM, you know, fairly left-hand heavy type of map. But we'll get into it and see what happens. Argentina still seeking their first point of the tournament. China, see if they can capitalize on an early pick here into the DT pool from Argentina.
Yeah, definitely looking on the Argentinian side. Since this is their pick, I already talked about Zeta, but Rico as well. This is their first World Cup, and I think they were kind of brought in as like a DT speed player, so...
Well, hoping for the best for them, because you always want to see guys coming in having, you know, put on a good performance, try to avoid those early nerves. Joseph Joestar may be having some internet problems, so we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens over there with him, but otherwise the other 7 players holding on to the early full combos just fine. China internet does tend to be a little hit or miss. I don't know. A lot of the China players I feel like actually live in the USA. I don't know this year, but historically if that's been the case. I don't know about this team. But we're going to see what happens. No misses yet, which is good to see. Getting through several hundred combos.
Yeah, this is unfortunately not new. It's a bit of a recurring theme for the Chinese World Cup teams. It could just be, the client.
Yeah, it's hard to say. There is the first break for Argentina out of Penguo during that Ki. All 3 of the active players from China still full comboing. Of course, they are falling distantly behind, but there's a break from Richo. This could actually get interesting, even as a 4 versus 3, if Burger Fox, David, and Milk Tea all continue to hold on to the FCs, regardless of whether or not Joseph Joestar is actually here or if he had a disconnection. We will await as Zeta and Lexalia try to keep things going for Argentina. About 2/3 of the way through a pair of FCs.
Yeah, I think regardless of the DT, if this is actually a 3v4, that would be kind of devastating. Especially if this is Argentina's first pick, probably their strongest pick.
And there's a couple more breaks from Richo. There's a break from David, though, unfortunately. So I think any chance China had of a 3v4 is going to fall by the wayside there, and that's going to be Argentina. Depending, I guess, on the situation with Joseph Joestar, I think this is going to be pretty much Argentina taking it down to just one FC on the board after Milk Tea breaks. Oh, okay, he is here.
Oh my god, that buffer.
Okay, well, so Joseph Joestar is going to have a long way to go to catch up with the rest of the players. He is starting far behind. So we will have to kind of wait and see here what the MP says. But it does. I'm gonna just spoil it here. Argentina is going to end up winning. Joseph Joestar putting up a 600k score, and Argentina takes the point by about 350k. With the double FC, in fact, near double FC, I should say, from Lexalia and Zeta. So the newcomer doing a good job, putting up a 1.1 million score.
Okay, I'm just thankful it wasn't actually DC and it was just some like internet shenanigans.
Yeah.
Because it's always a bit of a hassle whenever someone DCs. You don't know if you have to, redo or not. But nope, he did play. He does have his submitted score on the MP link, and yeah, it does go to Argentina. It was fairly close to 300k for a DT pick.
That's not a big gap. I mean, it's just a couple misses here and there. China ended up with one FC with very low AC and without any other full combos. It's kind of, you can't really make that up very easily against a near double FC. And it is the 1-1, so both teams getting their first point of the tournament on their first picks in this match. And back over to China, and they do go the free mod 1, so they deviate from the script here just a little bit. This is no longer scripted, folks. We're now live. But this makes sense, though. It's the CS5 AR8 free mod pick. We're hitting Daquan live in person.
Yeah, we've actually not seen Argentina play free mod yet. Obviously, China picked the other free mod last round, so I'm not quite sure who they're looking at in terms of mods, but I have a feeling we're probably, maybe not in this match, but over the course of the weekend as the other teams play, we're likely to see some more hard rocks on this. As it is a base AR8 map, right? It's the classic AR8 CS5 free mod, the good old free mod staple since like 2014 or something. So like, it can be a little bit rough sometimes to play this no mod for some players. It's just going to be a lot easier to just straight up just pull extra hard rocks and just not have any no mod. So we'll see if any of these teams decide to go for that.
Yeah, I've been hearing the rumors of some potential hard rock over mod on this from a lot of the feedback that's been out there. So I think that will not be an unlikely sighting. I mean, it's 6.5 is, they're small circles, but they're not, it's not the end of the world. So we're gonna end up, I'm curious what we're gonna end up seeing, I should say, as the mods in this particular match, as we're trying to sort out the players. I think a couple of guys having a little trouble again. But looks like a Muro, Emery, Kuno 2, Penguo, I think are set. And then Kurumi, Kuku QY coming in for his first map, joining David and Strife.
Yeah, when China played the other free mod, it was Genshin Pobi on the hidden and Strife on the hard rock. No other over mods, and that might be indicative of something. That map that they played free mod on was the easiest map in the pool, so maybe you would think they would go for a little bit more, but no, it looks like they just have Cuckoo and Bigger Fox play the no mods. It looks like they're looking to do the same thing here, most likely.
See, looks like players getting ready, so we should be able to get things set up here for this one. I'm curious to see, like, is Argentina just gonna have to basically have somebody roll tank mod, whoever runs hidden on this, as they're a team that has now banned the Ngoyar hidden both times. Like, I'm curious how that player will end up performing. It's going to be Penguo.
Oh. There you go. So 2 hard rocks on both sides. Actually 3.
Double overmod for China and complete overmod. So Argentina really not comfortable with low AR, clearly, as they run hard rock on all 3 players that aren't required to use hidden.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be a common thing this weekend. It's not that it's like impossible with no mod or anything. It's just like the skill set that this map has is just a lot more comfortable if you just play with hard rock for the majority of the players. So evidently that is going to be true for Argentina. We'll see if they can catch up against China's pick on this.
As a result, we're seeing some very low accuracy from China. Interestingly, though, Argentina doing a pretty good job there in those early goings, despite all the hard rock, keeping an accuracy advantage that's actually kind of impressive. picks up for the early break on Emeru Ikuno 2. We'll let China take the lead back here once that combo outweighs the slightly lower accuracy on a few of their players. Keeping an eye on the hiddens as well. Penguo a bit ahead in accuracy, but he and David both holding the FC until he finds break, as does Amuro. Okay, well, this just got broken open.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit expected. I think it's pretty hard to keep up, especially on hiddens. I think you could consider hidden a tank mod on this, but I mean, just the fact that everyone is over modding. Oh, okay, that's a collapse.
Yeah, that's a couple.
That's the same note, actually.
From Argentina. Yeah. And now it is down to Strife and Cuckoo QY. With
there you go.
Yeah, they're just gonna kind of run away with this one here. Once we get past the halfway mark, you're gonna see that score gap just exploding because Argentina is not having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, shoutouts to QQQI for doing so well on the mod. It's going to make the difference here, honestly. Like, if you have that skill set and are able to play it without hidden on this, like, it's essentially just free. So it's probably not hard for him, but it is making a difference right now. So
yeah, having somebody who's reliable on the Air 8 CS5 picks as a no-mod player, I think is like very, very, very valuable. We've seen it on teams kind of across the spectrum. You know, in past years, you see top teams, you know, maybe a guy like Vaxay or something, the USA can put in as a no-mod on the free mods, and it's just a guaranteed because the map is literally just easier if you have that base skill set. And it's just proven like invaluable to those kinds of rosters, and it's paying dividends here for China as Cuckoo QY is the now only FC remaining, and they're going to win another pick of their own by over 1 million points, it looks like.
yeah, they're two Hard Rock players though, really putting up the work. It is also quite hard with Hard Rock, right? It's fairly lengthy. There's a solid aim requirement with the precision included in there, but yeah, they're showing up. No FCs, but I mean, just comparing the scores on the two Hard Rock players against all of the other Hard Rock players on Argentina, and that's, I think, another source of a big score gap here. Actually, a very big score gap
huge.
here.
Yeah, that was really not
1.2
close.
million.
That's 1.2 million wins on both of China's first two picks, actually. So clearly, you know, finding a skill set or a couple of skill sets that they are far stronger compared to their opponents here. Those are, like you said, those are quite good scores from Burger Fox and from Strife on Hard Rock.
All right, Hard Rock. Nope, it's not Hard Rock 2. All right, it's Kirby time.
It's Kirby time.
So I believe this is also the only other map they shared a score on. Yep. So the no-mod speed pick last round was absurdly popular. I think mostly due to it being one of the easier maps in the pool. I think same is going to be said with this one. We've seen a lot of people talk in the like all of the players say this is, we're not really in the territory of speed yet, even though this I think clocks in at like 235 or something like that for most of the map. But yeah, it's still going to be very, very comfortable on a lot of players. And this did go slightly in favor of China last time around for around 200k score, I think largely off the back of Genshin Phobia and Burger Fox. But we do have Zeta, who kind of rivaled their performance, actually getting the top score last round between both of these teams, so probably looking at him on the side of Argentina.
I think, you know, we looked at this match as kind of being, you know, Argentina picking these types of maps into China and kind of banking on that sort of player and hoping that Zeta can put up very, very good scores on the faster picks. But it's hard to say, you know, I guess this is, I thought this map looked a decent amount harder than last week's personally, but the players clearly didn't agree. They thought it was not difficult at all still. So curious to see whether
people are hitting too fast.
Yeah, dude, everybody's like left-hand players. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not prepared for the world to just be like a billion players out there who can just look at a 250 BPM, you know, stamina map and say, "Oh, this is easy." Not prepared for that reality. But we'll have to see if this ends up being, you know, kind of a couple of FCs per team, in the way that the DT pick for Argentina was a couple minutes ago. looks like pretty similar rosters here as well. Have like Salia, Zeta, Penguo, and Richo is the same roster for Argentina. Bergfox, David, Lol, Milk Tea, the same. Cuckoo QI though going to replace Joseph Joestar for China.
I'm okay. I didn't think Penguo was a speed player, so this might be a little bit of a weird roster selection. I would expected to see maybe like Amira Kuno 2 for this one, but maybe the map is a little bit of a difference, and I think this is going to get aborted, I think.
I'm not really sure.
Quickly saw in chat that they only had 3 players in or something.
Maybe so. I'm not really positive what's going on here. We'll find out shortly. Penguo was in for...
Yeah, they're not playing. It was just be aborted.
Yeah. Penguo was in for DT2. He did put up just under 750k, so capable of playing, you know, decent. That map is 252 BPM, so a little bit faster than this one. Obviously, the stamina not required the same way, but all right. Yeah, I don't know. China and having internet problems during OSU tournaments is a tale as old as time. I feel like that's just anytime you see a China team in OWC, 3-digit World Cup, 4-digit World Cup, like there's going to be internet problems. There's just no way around it. Notably, though, if they have internet problems and it kind of causes things to delay, this gets a little rough for Argentina. I want to point out, like, it's 1:30 in the morning there. They scheduled this match for 1 a.m. local, so this gets pretty late. I mean, I have to assume that they're late night gamers if they're willing to schedule to this time, but man, it gets that late at night thing, whereas it's just getting into, you know, the afternoon in China. It's like an interesting thing to keep track of if this match takes a while.
Yeah. It's always, like, unfortunately, there's 2 teams playing, right? So if there's ever a team that has a lot of consistent internet issues, it also kind of affects the other team a little bit. But, I mean, it's just something to kind of expect here. Like we said, it's just not the first time this is happening. It's probably not going to be the last. Well, if China wins, it's maybe not going to be the last. Hoping they have their 4 players in this time, though.
Yeah, it looked like we were starting, and now we're not starting. I don't. Okay, well, we'll get it sorted out, and we'll be live with the actual gameplay hopefully shortly here. This is unfortunately a downside of OSU tournaments from time to time. You have run into some technical difficulties, but players slowly making their way into the lobbies, so we are gonna be good to go here on map number 3. No breakpoints yet.
We're gonna get to see the map.
Hey,
very soon.
Here we go. All right, so we gotta.
Okay, we're all synced up.
We're going to be synced up in about 40 combo. We will have 8 players all on the same page and all doing the same thing at the same time. My goodness, it's a wonderful sight to behold, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so there we are. No mod 5 getting underway in earnest. This map really doesn't let up. Like, there is very little downtime once it starts. It's just this triple quint quad kind of thing going on for basically the rest of the map at 2.5 minutes of 235 BPM bursts.
Yeah, there's not much in terms of complexity in the way like these patterns are mapped. It's just fast.
Or not, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, I mean, there's some level of density as well, I think, which is going to be like the majority of the difficulty here. But yeah, we're looking at this probably being one of the easier maps of the pool again.
That being said, we did see a couple of breaks already from Richo down there from Argentina, so China will have a little bit of an early lead. About 100k or so, I believe, about all this different. Although the accuracy suffering on Milk Tea is going to help out Argentina a bit here. Shoutouts to Alden, by the way, his first OWC map, I believe.
Yes, there's also a collab with Fairy, so both of their first OWC maps.
Yeah, cool to see new custom mappers getting their maps picked immediately in the first match of the week. Like Salia, gonna be the second break, as followed up by Penguo. That's not looking good for Argentina. That's a bad spot to be in now. 4 FCs still on the board for China, and only 1 for the Argentinians.
Yeah, that was like right before a little bit of like a slower part as well here. So I mean, China just no breaks yet, still just holding a 4-way, and that's not what you want to see for Argentina, especially this being their pick. This might put into question what they were looking at picking next, because if they were trying to go for speed, it doesn't look like it's going to be the way to go in this match. China just says no.
This might not be the direction. We talked about, like, they were not far apart on any picks, really. There's not a big amount of score between these two teams. There's the break from Burger Fox, and Kuku QY is going to follow up with that lead being 600k, though. I don't actually think there's enough for it to make. Fortunately, Argentina.
Dude, look at the accuracies on the Argentinian team, though. That is tragic. Yeah. That are going in with a 100 at the end, I think. Everyone over 99 on a speed pick of all things, right? Like 800s being the most amount on their team. Just those one breaks gonna make the difference there. But yeah, I mean, gotta look at China for this one. It's not a skill set that Argentina was really expecting China to be good at, it looks like, and yeah, I mean, they really showed up on this one.
And I think you can't overlook the fact that people have been saying that this is not a very difficult map. So even if you're against a team that is on paper, maybe you perceive them not to be that great at speed, they can still come out and do well on it. And like you said, I mean, Argentina arguably better I'm putting that in quotes, better at the map. Their accuracy, as you said, was far superior across the board, but that consistency just a little bit higher. China able to breaks, and you miss in the middle. I mean, you saw what their 3 scores were there for those players who didn't see, somewhere between 620 and 680k. It's just avoiding that break for China that won them that map straight up. And now China with the break point, what do they go into now that they've gotten the 2 really obvious picks out of the way?
Well, they do have the other Fremont still. That other Fremont is essentially just an aim map, though, so it might just not be what they're looking for. I think they were probably just looking at like mod advantage stuff, but that is not a mod advantage map. That is just like a raw aim map, and you don't really, you're not going to see any more than just 2 mods on that map, like from any team, I think. So maybe not what they're looking at.
Yeah, I guess it could be like a Nomad 3 angle, just non-raw mechanics type of map that's not going to be, something that's a pure aim or anything like that, or a Hard Rock 2 could be the case there. So you go from the CS5 AR8 free mod to the CS 6.5 Hard Rock. Their Hard Rock players did really, really well on Quan, so this makes a lot of sense for China holding on to that skill set.
Yeah, this is actually a pick that I think you could expect Argentina to go for as well. It was their only other pick last round, but I think the map is fairly different. This is very slow for Hard Rock. This is the 145 BPM map with rhythm complexity. It's very unique, so it's not like any other map we've seen previously in this World Cup. There is just no equivalent in this slot, in this World Cup, that is. So I think this is probably a good pick for China, considering, like you said, their Hard Rock players did exceedingly well on that other free mod. But also, this does kind of share a few similarities. Definitely looking at player accuracies for this one, though. I think it's kind of expected that a lot of accuracies are going to be pretty low on this. Like, I think a 99 is an exceedingly good score on this. So just something to keep in mind as we're about to see this map for the first time.
I feel like whenever you get one of these, because we not specifically like this map, but we do see a decent amount of the lower BPM Hard Rock picks in tournaments in general. They placed AK at such a premium because most players just don't play that sort of thing very much outside of, that one map a week in a tournament at most. So very curious to see how people hold up in terms of accuracy. We've seen Argentina have some very good AK performances on the first couple of maps, but you've seen China out comboing them, and unless you have, unless you're down at sub 90% against 98, 99s, that combo is going to be more important. So we'll see if China can keep that kind of aspect of their play up, or if maybe Argentina can come back. They need that break point back pretty quickly here with this only being best of 9.
Okay, their head-to-head scores on any Hard Rock map in qualifiers is exceedingly close. There's only like a 20k difference on both of the Hard Rock maps in qualifiers between these teams. So this is going to be pretty spicy. I think it could kind of go either way.
Yeah, it's I'm looking here, 2.6
6 million and 2.4 million, something like that. A couple 100,000 points at most. Yeah, this is the type of map in this particular matchup that could definitely be a very, very competitive one. We've seen, China, as we kind of briefly touched on, like China won their first 2 picks by 1.2 million points each. I think they're within like 3,000 points on those actually, or 13,000. So, maybe they can keep that up.
All right, you can already see this is a weird map. There are a lot of people getting caught off guard immediately off the bat, and pretty much a lot of really low accuracies, which again is kind of expected on this one. China do have actually really good accuracy coming off of this intro, which is pretty hard to keep up with, and Argentina is having a lot of issues keeping up with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what we would expect to see. Some of those, low 90s, high 80s, really not that surprising. And multiple breaks. Boy, there is one combo on the side of Argentina. Meanwhile, 2 FCs and a near FC for China. This is actually already 400,000 points apart.
And there's not much for Argentina to claw back with. It's only just Rico, and by this point, there's not much he can do by himself. There's still just too many strong combos, but also a very considerable accuracy lead for the Chinese players here.
I will say, if Cuckoo Q... Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry. If Cuckoo QY had broken and Richo had held, that actually could have gotten interesting because they had the same combo with a decent amount of score still left. But the break is just going to make that impossible as Cuckoo QY continues to hold on. And so does Mr. David. So this is going to be another pretty comfy win that's going to just grow here in this. The ending ki of this is so tricky too. The rhythm changes are very, very difficult. China looking good on their own picks. I feel like they planned well for this. All 3 of their picks now have been very one-sided.
Those are actually pretty good scores on this map. Those are very respectable. It's hard to say because we don't have a reference. This is the first match being played. But honestly, you have to respect the scores from China. That's very good. 2.7 million on this with like 1 misses on a few, with solid accuracy in context on all of their players. This was a fantastic pick for them.
Yeah, that 97 AC from Strife in context of the lobby looks very, very good, man. I tell you what, that AC looks solid. And of course, Cuckoo QY 858k. I think that's a pretty good score.
Alright, DT3 now. Not so much speed in this. That hasn't been played for either side here, but yeah, a little bit of a finger control pick here. Lots of doubles, lots of quads, kind of what you would expect.
Yeah, this is a cool one. One of that, Hatsuki Yura, I feel like you just end up with like kind of cool rhythms in a lot of maps of their songs. And this one is...
Actually, I take it back. China did play this last time.
Okay. But I like, and this is one of the few non-customs as well. This was a custom for a different tournament, though, so I guess it kind of still counts. Hitball does, I think, cool things with his mapping. Usually you get very unique maps from him. So hopefully this will play well for both these rosters.
I'm kind of wondering if the accuracy game is going to be a similar story here, because this is a pretty important factor in this map. Obviously, it's like the complete opposite spectrum of what is considered accuracy. Right? Like last map, we just had like some super low BPM with Hard Rock, so it's really hard because Hard Rock is always harder and harder the lower the BPM goes. Whereas in this case, it's just kind of fast. It's just a typical finger control pick. We'll see if China can show the same story here. They did have pretty low accuracies on the last round that they played. I'm looking at like 96, 95. But it's a different map, so could change.
Yeah, I mean, you go round over round. It's kind of hard to compare when the maps are relatively different. So, and also, I mean, at the end of the day, like we said, even in maps where accuracy is at a premium, if you can get moderate AC and keep your combo up, that's going to be the most important part. So we'll see how things go here. Zeta already with the very early break right at the beginning, but hopefully should not affect anything too much going forward. This is a decently long, again, all three of these 2.5 to 3 minutes in the DT pool, so get some time to get into a rhythm and hopefully build up some decent combo for both sides. Also, still no Extreme, so I wonder if he's just not here. I can only assume he's not here. I don't know if he's in for the finger control as much, but this is still relatively fast. I mean, 209 BPM, but
I think they played around all the maps that you would expect them to see him on, so yeah, I don't think he's here.
Yeah, he's just not here, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's still working out. Zeta, unfortunately, over there having several breaks already. We've just gotten through the first Ki, third of the way in. Actually, though, Argentina in the lead. Oh, I apologize. I missed Burger Fox missing. So that would explain that.
Yeah, they're kind of on equal footing right now. I think Burger Fox has had a little bit of an oopsie on a stream mode. Got a lot of misses, but it was only one pattern. Seems to have recovered pretty good. Zeta will miss again, though. Might swing things around. This certainly will, though.
Yeah, look, Solly missing there exactly halfway through, too. You know how that capped the score, but David finds a matching break. And there goes Penguo as well. Okay, so it's now
we might be seeing a lot of breaks. We're getting into the territory where this kind of becomes stamina a little bit. There's like no breaks leading up to this point, right? So even though it's not too fast, it's hard to keep up for this long, and evidently a lot of breaks on that section. I think it really rewards the people who did not. Still 3 FCs on the board, just more for China right now, and they're going to take the lead off of that.
Yeah, I actually think that might have just kind of decided it, especially with like Salia and Penguo breaking again. And there goes Rito. Yep, so that's going to do it. That's going to be a second break point for China, and that's going to be them closing out the match here. Milty does find a late break, but yeah, just China holding on to their stamina better through that second Ki was really kind of the nail in the coffin against Argentina, because they were right in with them, and then they kind of had some breaks at the wrong time, and that was just the map.
I think you really have to credit Kuki, who is, again, top scoring on this one, by a pretty large margin, but throughout the whole match, actually, just solid performances. He did top score the Hard Rock 2 just now as well, so a solid asset for the Chinese team, and they will take it 5-1.
Yeah, big shout outs to Kuku. He top scored also the Freemod pick, Freemod 1. He top scored on Nomad. He top scored that on Nomad with CS5 AR8 Nomad, and then he comes in and top scores like the stamina DT. And he's clearly a pretty well-rounded player. Definitely would give him their MVP for this win. But a good team performance, I think. Good picks from China, and they just got a couple break points. Argentina, nothing to really be ashamed of. I think China was just better. I don't really think there's anything they did outstanding wrong. China just played well, and that was what made the difference.
Yeah, I mean, Argentina tried to play around their team's strengths, but sometimes it just kind of goes that way, where the other team is stronger at your strengths. It was the case today, unfortunately. So China does move on. This was the first lower bracket match of the whole tournament, actually. So this just means China will have another opponent. For Argentina, that will be it for the tournament. So we have to say goodbye to them. They played their 2 matches. And China will move on. I'm not quite sure who they're facing against, but
yep. I actually just went and checked. They're going to be playing against the loser of Japan versus Finland next week in the second round of the losers bracket. So that's going to be a tough one. But
that's rough.
Yeah, that's any match in losers round 2 this year is going to be tough. There are a lot of very good teams. All the round of 16 in the winners bracket, those teams are very strong. So anybody dropping to the losers bracket is going to have a rough go of things. But yeah, still good to see, China getting the win here. At least they get one win, and Argentina doesn't go home without winning a single map, so they've got that going for them. So it's the little things.
Yeah, I do want to take some moment to talk about this again. It's not in any time soon. The next match is in like 6 hours, right? The whole chain of matches is yet to begin. But seriously, guys, the quality of matches this weekend is probably the highest I've seen in like the 8 years I've been involved in the World Cup. The winner bracket matches in round of 16 are absurd. The level of play and the competition is really high, and you can kind of see that the next match being Germany versus Australia in round of 16, right? There's a lot of matchups this week, probably looking at UK and Korea as well, who are I'm just gonna say these matchups are not round of 16 matchups. Like these are matchups you'd expect them like quarters or semis. So really high quality matches, very hard to predict, and definitely going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for this weekend and every weekend after. Like you said, I can't remember an OWC that was anywhere near this level of competition. There is so much parity across a lot of these teams in the winners bracket. It's going to be super, super fun to see. Canada versus Taiwan, another one that I think is going to be a very exciting matchup up in that winners bracket. So definitely a lot of good matches to come this weekend. I mean, like the first match of Saturday, freaking Germany versus Australia, like just started off with a banger, and then I mean you go into losers bracket a little bit later than that, and you get Malaysia versus France, like which based on their performances from last week, that should also be a really good matchup. So what we're saying here, guys, is stick around this whole weekend. Do not miss anything, because there is a lot of good OSU to be played over the course of the next 2 days, and you don't want to miss any of it. So make sure you are here early and ready for all of this amazing action here in round of 16.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of a break though, so there's only 6 hours until it really starts again. So that's going to be it for the stream for now. We got a little bit of a taste of what round of 16 is like. We saw a couple of the maps. And we're going to be seeing a lot more of them, I guess tomorrow for a lot of people, but I guess it could be morning for the majority of the people watching. So regardless, come back in 6 hours. You do not want to miss this. I promise you it'll be entertaining. For now, that will be it for us, though. Thank you so much, this one guy, for commentating with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. Wonderful match and a great weekend ahead of us here to come.
Yeah, take care, everybody. See you soon.